Hello and welcome to Golden Orb Studios, and in this video we're going to create a functioning AI. So first we just want to open the third person blueprints, and we just want to copy and paste our third person character, and we're just going to call it AI, and then select both of those and open them up. And in the AI, everywhere that has a enhanced action input, we just want to replace that with a custom event. So we're just going to type in custom event, and we're just going to call this combat and then plug that in. And we don't need any of these action mappings, so we can just delete those. And then we just want to delete that. We're just going to keep this because we'll use it later. And then up here, we'll just get rid of that. We'll use this later. And then we're going to delete this because we're going to do it a better way. And we're going to do the same on here. We're going to delete that, delete this. And then over here to switch the weapons, we're just going to make this better real quick. So we can come over to third person, input, then actions, and we're just going to copy and paste and call this weapon switch. And then the default, we can add an action mapping. We're just going to make that the weapon switch. And we want to make that mouse up and also mouse down. And we'll save that, close it. And then back in the third person character, we just want to get a flip-flop and then plug it in like that. And then we want to type enhanced input. And we're going to do weapon switch, and then out of triggered, we're just going to plug that in, and we just want to click B for branch because we want to see if it's dead, because if the character is dead, we don't want to do anything. It just sits there. So in content, characters, the Lego guy, we want to go to Lego and MVP, and we want to create a variable dead question mark. Then we're going to drag out of idle, add a state, call it death, and then drag back, and 2, we want to make sure dead is checked, and then if dead is not checked, then we want to go back. And in death, we just want to play our death animation. So then as Lego and BP, we just want to get dead, and if we are not dead, then we want to continue. If we are dead, we want to do nothing. And just make sure these are plugged into both. And then we're going to print string so we can see what's happening. And this is fist, and if the sword is equipped, we're going to do sword. So now if you compile, you can see that we are switching. And on fist, we want the sword and shield to be on the back. So up here in event graph, you want the sword on the back and the shield on the back. And then we also want to put the sword and shield in the hand if we attack. So we want to come up to combat, and then right after the branch, we just want to select everything except for attack. And then we just want to collapse the function, and then we'll just drag all of this over. And we just want to call the sword and shield in hand. And then we want to come back down here, and on sword, we just want to drag in sword and shield hand. And then we just want to open up sword and shield hand and go to the event graph. We want to take this part and do Control X, and we're just going to drag this in, and then back in sword and shield hand. And we want this to be in front, otherwise it won't work because we need to set the variable. And to make this easier, I'm just going to combine the sword on back and the shield on back. So I'm just going to delete one of these and then just move everything out. And we're just going to plug that in, and we're going to make this a function. So collapse the function. And we want to call this sword shield on back. And then we want to paste the reference in here as well. And then back in the event graph, we want to come down here. We're going to delete those. And then we want sword and shield on back. And then you can see that we have some errors down here. So we're just going to click on these. I'm going to delete this, and then the sword and shield on back. I'm going to plug that in, compile, click on the next one, delete that. And then we can also delete this as well because we're calling it in the beginning of sword and shield. And then we'll just drag that in, compile, click on the next one, and just do the same thing. And then we just want to switch these around, and then compile, play. And then you can see when we scroll that it switches between. And then we can highlight everything, C for comment, and we just want to call this weapon switch. And then in content, third person blueprints, we want to open AI, and we just want to create a custom event, and we're going to call it random roam. And we just want to check if it's dead. And then out of false, we want to get an AI move to. And out of pawn, we want to get self. And then out of destination, we want to get random reachable point and radius. And out of origin, we want to get actor location. And for the radius, I'm going to set it to 15,000. And on success, we just want to call random roam again so that it keeps doing it. And in third person map, we want to search for nav mesh bounds. And wherever this is, that's where the AI is allowed to walk. So we just want to scale this up to the entire scene because I want it to be able to go everywhere. And if you press P, you can see where they're allowed to go. And if we make it go up more, then they're allowed to go on top of these. If if we go down, they're not allowed up there, but I'm just going to make it so they can go everywhere. Then press P again to hide that. And then we're just going to drag our AI into the scene. And to distinguish it from our third person character, I'm just going to come to the viewport and I'm just going to switch out some of the materials. Alright, and then we also just want to delete the camera because we don't need that. And then we're also going to add a pawn sense. And this allows the AI to see wherever the character is. And we just want to scroll down here on pawn C. We just want to duplicate this part from the random roam. And then we're just going to paste this in. And in the pawn, we're going to plug in target actor. And on event begin play, we just want to drag in random roam. So as soon as we start, he starts roaming around. So you can see he starts walking around. But you can see that the walking isn't working. So in our Lego guy, we just want to create a new folder called animations. And we just want to select all of them, drag them in, click move here. And then I'm just going to rename this to Lego mesh. And I'm just going to set it to the default material, so solid. And then in characters, I'm just going to make a new folder, call one of them character 1, and then the other one AI. And I'm just going to copy the Lego mesh. I'm going to call this one AI, and then paste again, and I'm going to call it character 1. Then I'm going to set up the materials for character 1. Alright, and now that I have the texture set up, I can close out of that. And in the AI, I want to change the skeletal mesh to AI. And I'm just going to reset all of these. And the third person, I'm going to choose the character. And then in the Lego NMBP, I want to delete this. And I just want to cast to the character. And now you can see that they both work perfectly. And if he sees me, he chases me. And for the AI, I'm just going to change the collision so it doesn't affect the camera. And then I just want to delete the sword and shield from here. And I'm just going to select it and drag it on top of the mesh. And then for the AI, I'm going to copy and paste these. Then I just want to select the shield 2 and drag it into the AI on top of the mesh. And I'm just going to rename the character to character 1. And I'm going to move this into the characters. And then the BP AI on the pawn sensing on success, I just want to get combat and then drag off and get a retriggerable delay. And I just want to make this loop. And for the sword and shield, I want to change it to the sword and shield 2. And I'm just going to copy the ones that we created, sword and shield on back, delete that. And then I just want to come over here and copy the function, come to functions, paste, then in the event graph, on event begin play, that's what I call it. And then going through here, we just want to change these to sword 02 and shield 02. And I want to promote this to a variable. I'm going to call it shield. Then I'm going to plug the shield into here and the sword in. And I'm just going to change this to an actor, as well as the shield. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this into our other function. And we don't need this anymore. So I'm just going to delete it. And we're just going to delete this real quick. And then we're going to go to the character, get our sword and shield in hand, and then paste that function in. In the event graph, we can plug that in. And then we'll go to the sword and shield, copy that again. And then we're going to delete that and just plug those in. And then we just need to do the same thing and plug in the sword on back. And in the sword shield on hand, we just want to plug in the sword and then also the shield. And then in combat, we can just delete this part, plug it in. And I'm just going to have sword be ticked automatically. I'll just delete that. And then if we play, you can see that he attacks us. And if we drag him out of our sight, and you can see he's just randomly roaming. He's just walking around. And if he sees us, and now you can see that he attacks us. And now if we want to make it so that we can deal damage to each other, we're going to go to BP AI and we're going to create a custom event and we're going to call it being hit. And in the AI, we're going to click on the capsule and scroll down, and on component begin overlap, I'm just going to drag that up here. Off of other actor, we want to type actor has tag, and we want 2 of those, and we'll call one fist and the other one weapon. And in the weapons, we just want to duplicate one of these, and we're going to call it BP fist. And in the viewport, I just want to delete this, and actually I just want a sphere collision, and then click on the BP fist and type tag, and then add tag, type fist, and make sure it's the same spelling. And then in the swords, open those up, click on the BP sword, and tag, and I call it weapon, and the same for the other one. And then the viewport, I just want to drag in the fist, put it on the mesh, and I'm going to call it fist R, and I'm going to copy and paste, and call that one fist L. And for the fist R, I want to parent it to the right hand, and for the left fist, I want to do the same, but for the left hand. And I just want to reset all of these values, and I'm going to scale, and I'm just going to copy and paste that, put it on the other one. And now you can see that the fists are attached to his hands. So if he punches, wherever the fists go, they will attack as well. And I'm just going to add -4 to the x-axis of both of them. And then I'm just going to do the same for the first character. And then I'm just going to do the same for the character 1. Make sure it's attached to the mesh. And then we will parent them. And then make sure both of them are just set to these values. And back in the AI, we just want to add a delay. And then we want to check if it's dead. We don't want him to keep being hit if he's dead. Then we want to get a branch, plug it in. And then we want to hold S for sequence. And then we want 2 branches, one going off of each. And one of them will be for the fist, and the other will be for if it's weapon. And then we want to get some more branches. And if that's true, we want to continue on. And we'll come back to that later. In the variables, we want to make a variable called being hit, and it needs to be a boolean. And off of true, we want to set it to true. And then we want to get another branch and just plug it into there. And then we want to do our test to see if they're have enough health. And if all of that is true, then we want to come over here and we want to take away the health. And for the punching damage, I want it to only be 5. And for the slash, I want it to be 25. And then if you wanted to play a sound, you can play that here. And then we want to create a custom event. We're going to call it death. And then we want to drag out of the function. And if the score is less than 0, then we want to call death. And in death, we want to get dead, and we want to set dead, and we're going to set it to true. And then we want to get the shield ref and the sword ref, and we want to destroy actor. And before we do that, we just want to check if it's valid. And then in the event graph, we need to come back to this spot, and for that we need to come back to character and then attack. And we want to come over to blueprints, player info, and we want to create a new variable. And we're going to call this slash question mark. Then we're going to add another one, punch question mark. Now by default, they will be 0. And over here, we just want to drag some more room. We want to get the player info and then set slash to true. And we're going to copy this. And at the end, we're going to set it to not true. And then in punch, we're going to do the same thing. Get player info, then punch, set punch, make sure it's set to true, then copy that, then go to the end, and then it will set it to not true. And in BP AI, we just want to get the player info and punch, and then we want slash. And then we just want to make sure after being hit on true, we want to create a custom event called Retaliate, and then we'll call that, and then go right into the branch. And we'll do the same over here, true, then into the branch. And with this, we want to come over to the pawn sense, and then we'll just plug it into there. And then also over here, we want to set to start sprint, and we'll hold S for sequence, and we want a retriggerable delay, and we're going to set it to 3, and then we want to stop sprinting. And then we want to hold B for branch, and we want to get is being hit, and if it's false, we want to do the random roam. And then for the AI, we actually want to have the health inside of the character, so we're just going to create our own health variable, make sure it's an integer, and then we'll get it, and then just hold control and drag it out of there, and then we can just drag that into these ones as well. And then we want to set health and just control, drag these into the new slots. And I'm just going to add some sound effects. So I'm just going to do the content, and I'm going to make a new folder called sound, and then another one, I'm going to call it music, and one more, I'm going to call it SFX. Then I got my punching sound effects from Pixabay, There'll be links in the description for each of them, so make sure to go download those. And then once you have those selected, you want to click the next link for MP3 to WAV converter. And you just want to drag those in so you can get those converted to WAV. And then you can just import, go to downloads, make sure you upload the WAV, and then you can see if that's working. And then just shift click and create single queue, punch. And then you can see that it automatically makes it for you so that it plays a random sound effect each time. And then you just want to type in punch. And then just do the same for the slash sound effects. The links are also in the description. And once you open that up, right click and create queue. Just call it slash. And with it selected, go into AI and just click the arrow. And then make sure the health is set to 100. And then for the death, go into the sword and shield and just copy this. And we just want to set the values again. And we just want to set the delay to be like 0.1 or something. It just needs to be very small. And in the combat, we just want to branch and check to see if it's dead. And before we destroy actor, we want to have a delay, but we can't do that inside a function. So we're just going to copy this, Control X, and then we're going to create a custom event, call it dead, and then paste. And then we're just going to plug this in, and we're going to delete the function death and replace it with dead. And then we can drag this out, hold D, and then we just want to come over to the animations. And if you hover over it, you can see that the sequence length is 2.6. We'll just put it for 3. So now when you play, you can go find him. And now you can see he's dead, and he disappears. And then another thing to add, and then one more thing to add is after sprint, you want to have a branch, and then drag sword into it. And if it's false, I want to have the shield on the back. If it's true, I want to have the shield in the hand. So now if you play sword in the hand, when you stop sprinting, he has the sword back in his hand. And if he has punch and he sprints, then he still has punch. Something else you could do is instead of having the delay right there, you can make a specific time for each item. So for the fist, you might want it to happen faster, so you can change that to like 0.1. And for the weapon, you might want it to not hit so much because it does more damage, so you can do 0.2. And then for the AI to be able to hit the character, it's basically the same thing. So we're just going to copy all of this and then just click confirm. So we want to check, is it dead? Does it have fist or weapon? And then we're going to do the delay. And then instead of this, we want to just duplicate this, but say AI slash or AI punch. And then you just want to replace these. And then we don't need this. And we just want to duplicate the dead. And you just want to replace these. And then over here, we just want to create custom event. Or we're going to call it dead. And we want to go to the sword and shield and just copy all of this. And you can just delete death, the function death. And then we want to come over to the BP AI and we just want to duplicate this part. So we can copy that and then bring it over here. And then we also need the dead part. So we need to set it to be dead. And we're going to come back over here, just delete the old one. And then we're going to put the new one in. And we just want to drag this over because we want the health. Set a false, we're going to plug that in. And we'll just drag this stuff over here. And you can plug this into these ones as well. Copy, paste, and I'll make the punching 5 as well, but I'll make the slashing 15. And then in the AI, we just want to come over to punch, and we want to do the same thing that we did in the character, except we want to make it the AI. And then if you compile and play, and then in the death, we just want to get the player info, and we want to create a variable, and we just want to call it character1 dead. And then in the AI, we want to come over here, make another branch, go to player info, and we want to get is dead, plug it in, and then we want to duplicate this, and then paste this into here. And out of the character1 dead, if he is dead, then we just want to have them do random roam. So now if we play, and he kills us, and then actually we just want to do Control X, and we want to put that over here. So we want to check if the player's dead. If he's not, then we'll keep doing the loop. If he is, then we'll do the random roam. And in the character1 death, we want to get the player info, and we want to set death. And just to make this look nicer, I'm going to select it all, push comment, and then call this death, show bubble. And then I'll do the same on the other side, comment that, call it death, show bubble. And then over here, we're going to call this random room and event begin play, and then we'll call this on sensing, and we'll call this hit, and then let's do that for this one as well. And then one last thing before I end the video, I'm just going to slide this over and add a play sound. If you download the Lego tutorial file again, you'll find a sound effects called death. Just import that, click on it, and then just click the arrow, and then click the down arrow and change the start time to 1.5, and then just copy, and then we'll paste it into the AI as well. And now you can have a sword fight. And then make sure in all of these, add a branch, control click, drag onto there, make sure I want it on false. You want to get dead, because you don't want to do anything if he's still alive. And now that you're all done, you can enjoy the mess that you've created. Hey guys, and thanks for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can check out our new merch. You can also donate. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.